Episode 140, The Harvard AI Diaries, Day 2.
The primitive forms of artificial intelligence we already have proved very useful.
AI is a golden opportunity.
How do we ensure that this technology is regulated?
The long arc of technological history is now in an extraordinary new phase.
The AI 6 podcast with Joanne Sweeney.
Well, so many key takeaways from today's class, from cargo cults, prompting, and the rise of intelligent agents. But what is intelligence anyway? And what about privacy? Hello, and welcome back to the AI 6 podcast, coming to you from Harvard Kennedy School. In today's part 2 of Harvard AI Diaries, I reflect on a series of thought-provoking sessions exploring how AI intersects with human intelligence, decision-making, and future technologies. We covered so much today, and my critical thinking, along with ideas of industry application, is on overdrive. I'm just over 2 days in, and already I'm hugely motivated to bring the learning to a broader audience. Being here benchmarks my own knowledge, and I was delighted to see my own experience of building custom chatbots being shared with the class today. So we started the day with a new theory that I hadn't heard before, presented by Dr. Edelyn Levine, the cargo cult AI analogy. It's a warning of sorts. Many of us may be imitating intelligence without truly understanding it. And with so much information and now knowledge being a commodity that is available in our smartphones with a voice command from ChatGPT, we get to know anything and everything just by a simple voice prompt. We really have to develop our critical thinking and ask ourselves, is this true? What are the sources? And is this intelligence? AI systems can mimic smart behavior. That's the job of large language models, to mimic humans, but they don't understand context or causality. They operate in patterns. They predict the next word. Of course, there are models running behind the scenes, but there's danger that lies in humans jumping to conclusions based on surface level patterns, mistaking correlation for causation. And this class reminded me that critical thinking must stay very much part of the AI intelligence loop. For all the potential that AI has, we got to explore 6 fundamental limitations of AI. Its lack of universality, transparency, and causality. Its dependence on hardware, its vulnerability to manipulation. The example that I shared in yesterday's podcast, where I was able to break down and hack Gandalf and get the passwords. And it's purely data-driven in nature. And so the big takeaway from that session, AI is powerful, but it's not infallible. The human in the equation is still the single most important driver of AI value. Then we moved on into prompt engineering and some techniques. And Professor Teddy Svoronos gave us this class. A brilliant teacher, so interactive, and lots of practical tasks to help us learn in the moment. And a new concept for me today, chain of thought prompting. And this helps reasoning models break problems into logical steps. And this is essential for data analysis, for policy planning, or anything involving logic. And it got me thinking, is this why I love voice prompt engineering? Because when I am prompting a large language model using my voice, and I do this every day, my stream of consciousness breaks the commands and the prompts down into individual chains of thought. And very often I will record individual voice prompts one at a time. So I really enjoyed learning about that concept and why that works well when using large language models. Then we also looked at the distinction between reasoning and non-reasoning LLMs. So older models like GPT-2 or base GPT-3 operate on predictiveness, but it's quite shallow. In contrast, reasoning models such as GPT-4, Claude 3 and DeepSeek They can simulate logical thought, plan steps, and use tools. So these models are more suited for tasks involving complex reasoning and not just content generation. Really good to know. And then another concept that I didn't know about, distilled models like DeepSeek. So these are compressed versions of the larger models. They're faster, they're cheaper, and still capable of impressive performance, but if trained and prompted properly. But my friends, there's always a trade-off if something is faster but cheaper. So they may be useful where real-world deployment in the context where cost, latency, and efficiency matter. Then we moved on to AI assistants and AI agents, and we got to create our own. And tomorrow we'll be building out our own agent, which is very exciting. And another really useful discussion was when and how to use generative AI. Don't just use it for the sake of the fact that it's there and you think it's cool and you think it's something that we should do. We really need to be thoughtful and intentional about the value that Gen AI brings. And if you're listening to this podcast since the beginning, or have even just checked out a few episodes, you will know that this is something that I talk about all the time. And in talking about the agents, we were reminded that they signal a future where AI is not just reactive, but it's proactive, and it's actually embedded in our everyday systems, in our everyday operations, in our everyday workflows to help us think, act, and decide faster, but of course, with us as humans in the loop. So my big takeaways from today: learn to prompt. It's not just a trick, it's a core professional skill. And as AI becomes more embedded into our daily tools and systems, knowing when to trust it, when to guide it, and when to question it will define how effectively we use it. But use it we must. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please share it with a pro that you know. I'm Joanne Sweeney. This is AI6. I will be back to you from Harvard Kennedy School tomorrow.